Hey everybody, it's Friday. Yay. I'm in the kitchen. And happy Free Hands Friday. It's, what is it? August 22nd, 2014. And this is Gene Perry. And welcome to Free Hands Friday number 26. I've been doing this half a year now. And it's lunchtime here in these parts. I'm having a chicken wrap. A little barbecue sauce. And today I have no guests. We're just doing, I'm just going to kind of tell you about how Free Hands Academy went, and maybe kind of boring. There's no like awesome guests, although we did have some pretty awesome guests at Free Hands Academy this last week. So I'll probably spend just like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, just kind of sharing with you what we did, if you're interested, and who was there. We had 33 full-time attendees. We had one day student, a gentleman named Russell Burt. And let's see. We had our special guest on Thursday was Larry Tuttle, who then performed with String Planet with his wife Novi Novog, and had a fantastic night. Great performance. It was very well liked by everyone. And that went really well. We had Kevin Keith on Friday. And then on Friday night was the first ever NS Stick Night, which Kevin hosted, which was great. And that featured performances by Don Schiff, of course, Nathan Aswell, who was just fantastic. Sang and played and did his songs and just got everyone into it. He has a real kind of special ability to get people involved in what he's doing with his music. And it was really appreciated by everyone. Dean Kobayashi also got a couple songs in, which was great. And so Dean was like tapping and strumming and looping, and he had some triggers and drum beats going on. It was really cool. That was really fun to watch. Very exciting evening. And then, of course, that kind of climaxed with a set by Jubilian Setar, who were gnarly. There's probably another word for it. My word for Gary and Jay is gnarly. And they were good. Put Cholula away. Trying to think of what else. So that was Friday night. And then on Saturday, our special guest was Emmett, of course. Emmett came out and did his thing, and he did a class and set up a configuration, which I kind of insisted on, and it went over really well. I wasn't there, of course. I was doing administrative blah, blah, blah. But it looked like it went really well. And then after our break, he did a class on improvisation, which was very well received, and we got lots of pictures of him smiling and doing his thing. So that was cool. Let's see, what else? Am I going to have a pickle? Yeah. On Sunday, our special guest, well, then we had a big stick night on Saturday night, which was epic. And so that had performances by Dean was the first person to sign up, so traditionally we let the first person that signs up play a set. We did that last year with Brett, this year with Dean. I played, Dale Lattisher played. We took a break. We watched Dan Chapman's amazing documentary on Emmett. And he had made some changes and updated some of the interviews, and it looked great. He did a great job. Yeah, it was amazing. And then we had, actually, no, prior to that, we had the Big Three. So then Bob Culbertson played, Steve Adelson played, Greg Howard played, and we had a good time. And a cat named Jake Nager came out and played drums with us. Dale and Dina Dallek, I believe is her last name, who just recently bought a stick, joined us as well. She came and sang on a couple songs, which is great. Dale sang Mercy Street with me and sang on one of Steve's tunes. Here's my wife. You want any of this? You be on Free Hands Friday? Polite pass. But here is the woman of my dreams.
Oh my gosh. I don't know who I'm saying hi to.
Okay.
Hi.
You're saying hi to the internet, sweetie. Here, I'll get out of your way. All right. Moving into another room now. I lost my train of thought. So, Stick Night was epic. Later in the evening, we had performances by Don Schiff and by Kevin Keith, who also was a hero in that he provided the live sound for the whole evening, with a lot of help from Greg Howard. So that was pretty fantastic too. There was someone I'm forgetting. Emmett. So Emmett came out and played. And then Gary and Jay came out and did another set. And, man, it was an epic night. Really, really fun, and everyone had a good time. I mean, I had a good time, for sure. And there was some craziness that went on after hours on the campus of the AJU, none of which shall be repeated. If you were there, hopefully had a good time. Probably all seen lots of Luke's pictures. Luke was selfless in that regards and taking lots of pictures of everyone. I'm going to see if I can share a couple right now and tell you a little bit about the classes that were offered. So I'm trying to think of where to start. Well, for starters, the American Jewish University is a beautiful campus out in Los Angeles. It sits right in between the San Fernando Valley and like West LA. And so we're on like 27 acres of just a beautiful campus. And we were there for 5 days and 4 nights. And basically the class was, or the way it kind of broke out was that we had classes in the morning, so we'd have a class at 9:30, and then another class at about 10:45, a 15-minute break in between. And there were about 2 classes that each instructor had prepared. And so Bob did a class on arranging and talked about some techniques that he uses. He also talked about technique. Dale had a class on arranging as well, and she also had a program on loving and learning your music. And so kind of getting up there and singing and playing, even if you weren't a singer, you know, who knew? Maybe you can sing. And then, let's see what else. We had Greg did a class with using like an effects, how to use effects processors like an orchestra, which was cool and added a lot of kind of depth to what we were doing. We also had a class on just how to use the left hand more effectively. And this is like getting the most out of bass lines, that sort of thing. And that was a good class. Steve did some great classes on walking bass lines, just like left-hand bass technique. And then another class on chord shapes, which was cool. And I know that a lot of people got a lot out of that. I had a class on basically like managing time. And so basically we all kind of sat down and talked about what we wanted to do with the stick ideally and what was kind of really more realistic and achievable. So what do you add to a program that has Greg Howard, you know, Steve Edelson and Bob Culberson, and Dale, and Don Schiff, and Gary Jubillion, Kevin Keith, Larry Tuttle, Emmett Chapman, and Tony Levitt, right? So I figured I'd do something on just kind of time management, project management, and I think it went well. So people have plans for the whole year now of what they're going to work on, what they're hoping to achieve at the end of this year. I think maybe what I'll do, oh, and then we had the State of the Stick. So they're filming the program for most of it. Was a gentleman named Michael Johnstone, also known as Captain Strings, out on the Stickist, and he was a cool cat, man. He took care of business. So we have a lot of great footage. I say he has a lot of great footage, but he's been working with Dan Chapman to kind of put together a little more additional footage for the documentary that Dan's been working on. Michael and Dan filmed the State of the Stick, which is basically the 8 or 9 of us just kind of talking about what we've been doing in the last year and changes that are coming up for the stick. And so some notable ones were some changes, some slight modifications to the rail board as opposed to it being glass bead blasted. Now it's kind of machine cut. It's a different texture on the rail board, so that was a pretty big change. There was the introduction of some new colors. I got to see up close and hold for just a few moments Dina's brand new plum-colored rail board, which is just a beautiful, beautiful instrument. And that was another thing that I liked a lot about being at the Academy, was just seeing the multitude of different instruments. 10-string, 12-string, some people had NSs, all kinds of different woods and all kinds of different tunings and setups, and so that was exciting. One of my favorites, I would have to say, was Michael Johnstone's recent acquisition. It was a 12-string Padauk that he bought that used to belong to Leo Gosselin, which was a 12-string Padauk with a passive 4, and he had put in these beautiful fret inlays that looked kind of like the Chevron logo. Let's see, what else to talk about? The AJU is a nice facility. I'll talk a little bit about the facility. They have a kosher kitchen, so there's certain things that aren't allowed on campus. And so breakfast, lunch, and dinner was all there on campus, which is great because you're having breakfast with all your favorite stick personalities, right? I'm like right there next to Hedgehog and Skydiver, like sitting in between them, right? And then there's Robin, Bob Culberson, all those other cats. They're just kind of hanging out and getting eggs, So that was kind of fun. And then we had a lot of people return from last year, which was really nice. And we got to see Ignacio Gomez, who came out just for a couple days. Lynn Caton was there, and while she didn't sign up for the class, she was there at Stick Night, which was great. So another one of our chicks with sticks. And Diana Amara was back, Claire Steger came back, so lots of ladies that were playing the Chapman stick. But mostly dudes. We had people, Francisco Rafart came out from Chile, Jackie Mouvier came out from France, Robert Thorpe made it out from the UK, and we had a number of players come down from Canada. I'll try to remember them all. Marty and Kevin and Nathan and Dale. So 4 of our stick friends that were in Canada came down to join us, and so we had a great time. And see, trying to think of some of the other events that we had. On Thursday we had Larry Tuttle. Friday night was Ennis Stick Night was pretty epic. That was really fun. There's this kind of electricity, and Jubilean Setar just set it off, man. It was like well into the evening, and when they came on, everyone was just primed after having listened to Dean and to Nathan and Dawn jam together, who sound really good together. So I think what I'll do right now is I'll probably share out maybe just a handful of the images from Stick Night. So I'll share out my desktop and see how this goes. Let's see. Yeah, share. Okay. Sure. Oh, there we go. Let's look at this. So there's no one actually on here with me, so let's see how well this goes. Sure. You can see this, but if you can, what I'll do is I'll share out just I'll just share out the concert. Let's share that. And then this way you can see some of the images that David Cohen got. So David Cohen is the guy who did photography for us last year. Can't really see these close up. There's a lot of really good pictures of Emmett doing his thing. Let's see if I can't get this bigger. Yeah, cool. Okay, so you'll be able to see this. So this is Ed from the Ukes of Hazzard. It was great. We did a Homesick Subterranean Alien, which is one of my favorites that they do. And then this is Patrick Hildebrandt, flanked by Jake Nager. Patrick's dad showed me how to play guitar, and Pat and I have been friends for a long time. More purple there. More pictures of Pat. A lovely picture of the Chapman family. Emmett and Yuta and Diana up on a staircase looking down on the show. Me doing my thing. And the guys, there's the concert. And you can see some of the people there at the show. The two Tims are up in front there with Diana and Charles Hughes, Andy Prokopic and Lynn Caton. I can see Phil back there, lots of other people. I can see Burt Russell there, or Russell Burt out there to the far right, who is this cat that came. He came to see us. He was a day student, and so he came in, and it was like day number 4 of 5 days, and everyone was like hugging him, and he's like, "What's going on here?" Because like we're all like the best of friends by this point. So, Bob Culbertson doing his thing, Greg Howard doing his thing. So you can tell it got kind of darker later in the evening, and so we didn't have the lights to really get really good lighting on what we wanted to do. Here we are backstage with Dan after seeing the movie, and there of course is Tony Levin with Greg and Dawn and myself. That was a fine moment. There's Tony, and you'll notice that Tony is just wearing kind of what he had that afternoon. He had a shirt and a jacket and some jeans on because his luggage ran late, but his luggage did arrive, and so kind of throughout the evening, like he'd add a jacket or he'd add a vest, so pictures, you can tell as the evening progresses, that his luggage had arrived and he was able to get it. Here's Dean Kobayashi, who opened up the show, our NS player, doing his thing. He's playing some Hendrix, which is pretty cool. He's been blabbering on. More Ukes. Let's see here. Let's see if we can't get some of Dale. So Dale came up, and there's Christian Crowley, who was definitely the best dressed stickist there pretty consistently. When I first saw him, I thought he was actually working for the AJU. He's a handsome devil. So he's got a cool band, Jesbin, and I think he's out in the DC area, but just a fine, lovely person, and that's a great picture of him. And there's Dale. There's Dale singing with us. She sang Mercy Street with us. And that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And there's Jake Nager in the background playing drums. So our little quintet. There's more Dale. There's Don in the background. And then for Dale's set, Dina came up and sang a couple tunes. And Dina's the one that just picked up this beautiful plum-colored rail board. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. There's Dale getting down, having a good time. That's our Dale. And then more of Bob Culbertson. So Bob was pretty fantastic, as you can imagine. Totally into it. And at some point he had us all clapping, which was great. I did not see that coming. So we were all clapping, and Bob was just wailing away. So that was a fine moment. Steve Adelson, of course, came out and totally shredded. Played some of the stuff from his new album, and was totally ripping. Did the walking bass lines and the chords and the melodies, and it sounded like an orchestra, and he had the MIDI, and he was playing solos and just totally shredding. And Dale came up and joined him, sang a little bit. I want to say I can't remember that's the name. It's one of my favorite tracks off his new album. I want to say it's like Garden of Lahuli or something like that. Lima Huli, but it was a beautiful place out in Hawaii, and I'm butchering the name. So there's Steve being Steve. And as you can tell, Tony's in the background there. Now he's all dappered up and looking good. And then Greg Howard came out and did, he did Guitaresque, which people are all familiar with. He also did, can't remember what he opened with, but he also did a great version of Come Together. And joining him was Scott Schur and Nathan Naswell. And then there's Tony, looking good, having a good time. And then there's Emmett with his brown railboard. And I think he's using his raised match reciprocal tuning. And lots of pictures of Emmett doing his thing, and I'll put these out there at some point on the Free Hands Academy site, as well as on our Facebook site. And there's Yuta and Diana. And me and Tony, boy, that was a pretty cool moment. We got a smile out of him. What a cool cat. He was really nice. And then there's Dan and Tony. So Tony got to see the movie for the first time, which was great. That was a big thrill for him and certainly for Dan. So, good times. Don Schiff. Don Schiff totally ripped it. Did Rainfall. Everyone was hoping for it. He did it. Played great. And then a good thing got better when Emmett came up and joined him. So this was great. These guys have been friends for a long, long time. So this was another kind of fine moment. Don was singing the blues and Emmett was wailing away. I think I did an introduction here for Kevin Keith. Kevin Keith just totally shredding, came out and did this medley of his material to open up with. And Kevin was also pretty amazing in that he provided pretty much all the live sound. Of course, Greg pitched in. Both those guys were just instrumental in getting Stick Night live sound happening. So but it would not have happened without Kevin Keith. It started with Kevin Keith, and so we were all just delighted to see him play and do his thing. All right, more of Kevin, handsome devil, totally shredding on the railboard. Lots of good pictures. David Cohen, the guy who does all these photographs, said that the camera loves Kevin Keith, and it's all true. Doesn't have a bad side. So, let's see here. I thought there were some more of Gary and Jay, but I don't see those. Maybe are those down there? Those might be in another bunch. But we did get a couple with Jubilian Setar. So I'll see if I can post some of those. Those are floating around here somewhere. So I'll find them. Yeah, head back over to the Hangout here. Hopefully people saw that. I don't know if they did. So what else? Really, I suppose I just wanted to express my gratitude that everyone that was able to make it out and to basically finance the whole affair. So the way I see it, everyone that kind of invests in the program is kind of like a shareholder, and we all kind of reap the benefits of collectively pooling our money and being able to meet all these fantastic people and learn from all these fantastic people. And Bob Culbertson said it so well, every stick player is a teacher, and I believe that. So, and Steve Adelson had some very kind of telling comments. He was saying that, let me see, he said the skill level of stick players at this particular event was very high, and that it was impressive. And he was really glad to see that people were getting out there and making an attempt to just get up there and play. And we also had, so something I did forget. After Larry's performance, we asked all our international guests to come up and grace us with a song. And it ended up turning into kind of like an open mic on Thursday night. So will that happen again next year? Oh, yeah. It was great. So Diana Amar got up and played a song. Andy Prokopik got up and played a song. There were many others that got up and played. I can't remember them all. But the idea was to kind of turn it over to anyone that had, taken the time to put together some music and to play it. And I wish I could remember everyone. I know that Kevin Cason got up and he played this great Gordon Lightfoot song, which you may have heard on the Stickist, and totally nailed it. And Jackie Mouvier from France came out and played, and Francisco Rafart got up and played. And it was really fun. People really enjoyed that, and I know that Greg really enjoyed that too. It was great. Great to see these young cats getting up and doing their thing. That evening also led to some frivolous merriment in the R-Back with like a 2-hour Billy Joel review of Greg Smith and Dale Asher and Tim Larson playing piano. I mean, God, he was like a concert pianist. He was There's some footage of it. I think Claire got some footage of it, and so it's incredible to see the two singers work off of Tim. The interplay and the way they worked together was just amazing. And so they went on for a long, long time. And Andy and I walked into that room, our jaws just dropped because there's the three of them, and it's like a band practice, but it sounds really good, so it could actually be a performance. So that was a lot of fun. And there was like about 10 people watching, and just all kind of hanging out and watching them the Chapman stick players play the music of Billy Joel. It was featuring Tim Larson and special guest singers, Dale Ladisher and Gregory Smith. And both of them are fine singers, but when you get them together, it was that was just a fantastic evening. So Thursday was pretty remarkable. You didn't think it could get any better, and then you're walking around campus, and there's Jonathan Corn on, and he's got his headphones on, and he's like heads down and practicing, and then there's Randon Davitt, and he's like 16 years old, and he's got his new rail board, and he's heads down practicing. Same thing with Chaz Chapman. So Emmett's a great nephew, I think, was there, and we had two 16-year-old players this year, so that was fantastic. Kind of see the next generation kind of unfold, and to learn and to be a part of the event. So Phil Rain got up with Randon, and they did some air sticking. And gosh, I wish I'll have to post the videos, but there they were with their air sticks, and they were tuning up like this, like stickists do. There's no real sexy way to tune up your stick and look cool. So I think those were some of the kind of the highlights. There were donuts. There was contraband pizza on the campus. Pizza. We can't talk too much about it, but people got to eat. I've got a lot of great memories, and I'll be sure to get some photos up. Luke's already posted a lot of fantastic photos. We'll have a survey probably going out today to all the attendees. There's just a couple of changes that I want to make to the ones that Luke and Chen were gracious enough to put together on SurveyMonkey. So that'll be coming. Look for that if you were there. And then also, I suppose my big plug is for Interlock in 2015. So I had a fantastic conversation with Glenn Portman, who is really a leader in our stick community and someone that I have a fantastic amount of respect for, who's been doing this event for a long time, Interlock in Ann Arbor. And Oz, I can't remember the name of him, he owns the music store out there, but these are people that are very important to us because they put so much time and effort into organizing these events. So Interlock in 2015 is going to be the place to be. Rumor has it that Greg's going to be there, which is exciting. So Greg is a great teacher and loves to teach, and he'll have a little more bandwidth, which is nice. So Greg has. There wasn't enough time in the day for Greg to share what he wanted, but there were so many people there that were, ready to instruct. So this will just give him more opportunities to do what he does so well. And Glenn will be doing his thing. So, not to be outshined, Glenn is also a fantastic player, a fantastic person, organizer, has his act together, but he's also a great stick player and has a lot to share. And, I lose interest pretty quickly with looping, but he does it so well, and it doesn't even feel like looping. It's like just feels natural. Anyways, Glenn Portman, ladies and gentlemen. What else? Oh, I suppose some thank yous. Well, to all the instructors, thank you very much. Everyone was so helpful. Bob had some ideas on how to handle these big events. Steve helped us to get an endorsement with Hartke, which I didn't really take advantage of because there just wasn't time. Dale's kind of spirit, she was the real wild card. She's one of our core staff that hasn't written an instruction book, but it didn't really matter because what she had to offer was just something that you can't put into a book, can't be written, but it was definitely felt by by everyone there, and love and welcome the opportunity to work with her again. And I'm sure many Sickists can feel the same way. She has a less kind of technical approach. Her singing, her songwriting, and her stick playing are all kind of wrapped up into one. And that's kind of how I would like to approach the instrument, as opposed to just playing instrumental music, like playing in a band context. That's just me. Then our special guests, Larry Tuttle and the amazing Novi Novog. One of the comments that was made is that it was so musical. It was the most musical thing. I think it was Christian that said it. It was the most musical performance of the Chapman he'd ever heard. Really fun to listen to. And sometimes when you're listening to String Planet, it feels like you're listening to Laurel and Hardy. Like, the music's so funny. It has this sense of humor to it. It makes you smile. And so that was, and they're starting to play out more. So that's exciting. Obviously to Kevin Keith, who is just amazing in so many ways. And as a performer, rumor has it, he mentioned it to us, he's got an album coming out. It's done, he's just in the process of mixing it. So that'll kick ass. I'm looking forward to that for sure. And we heard like 20 seconds of it, and he's just ripping. And there's all these sequenced beats and keyboards, and the stick sounds unbelievable. So he's playing it a lot like a bass and just getting great tone out of it. All Railboard. So that'll be a real kind of landmark album for the Railboard. And who better to do it than, right, Ken Keith. Don Schiff, who was my first stick teacher. Don Schiff. And you can't help but talk like Don Schiff after you've been around Don Schiff. You're saying, "What job, buddy?" And he was very supportive and has always been supportive. And he called me up the day afterwards, and he's like, "No one's down here for breakfast. Bring them all back, Gene." So that was like really fun to get. So Don's got that great sense of humor. It really just kind of lightens the whatever sort of crap you may be going through. You just kind of forget about it all when Don's around. And his wife was there. She's lovely. To Gary Jabilian, like what another fantastic NS player in our community and Stick Enterprises, employee, and kind of heard his story the week before we did Freehands County, and just a solid guy, and it was really, he's honored to be there. We were honored to have him. He's a very likable and very knowledgeable in the instrument. He assisted Emmett with the setup and configuration class, and I was really glad he was there. He lit up Friday night, man. It was just on fire, just looping and shredding and shrouding, and just nobody can do it like Gary. Lots of skill with looping and just stacking things up and making it sound cool. And Jay Setar is like his perfect match. They go really well together. So it was great having Gary there. Emmett was there. And it looked like he was having a good time, from what I can tell. He was having a good time. And that made me happy. And Greg Howard, who's really been kind of a mentor in all of the arranging and stuff like that, and coordinating. We bounce ideas off each other, and sometimes we go his way, and sometimes we go my way. But it was always nice to have someone to kind of bounce those thoughts off of, because he's done it so many times. So, and he understands, all these different stick personalities and what people expect and that sort of thing. And somebody I was missing this year was Brett Bottomley. I mean, there's a lot of people I was missing this year that weren't. Evan wasn't there, and JRJ wasn't there, and Grant wasn't there, and Lynn wasn't there. Jeremy wasn't there. He was almost here, but he didn't quite make it this time out. So another very prolific stick player, Jeremy Cooper. And I know I'm forgetting some people from last year. We didn't see Randy Gretsch this year, so I was kind of bummed, because I would like to have heard him do some classical stuff. He's quite good at it. Who else? Oh, Tony Levin. So Tony's class, was very. He doesn't like doing these sorts of things. That was my understanding. And he doesn't like to get technical. He doesn't want to talk about his rig. He just wants to kind of tell stories and talk about what he does, and that's kind of where he's most comfortable. And so we all just kind of let him do that, and everyone had a great time. So it was like the last day, it's Sunday, Tony Levin comes out, he's playing stuff on the piano, and he talks a little bit about theory, and he talks a little bit about music education, and talked also about like recording the stick and the bandwidth and the frequencies in which it works, and engineers are trying to get you to play here, but you really want to play here, and you got to be careful of this frequency, and without having it turn into a whole like technical clinic, he kind of wanted to stray away from that. Make it more about music and talk about music, the joy that it brings. So, tip of hat to Tony. I felt, like I was wishing we had this, really awesome room that we could show him to and hear Mr. Levin, but it was like this dorm, with like a little mini fridge in it. And it was cool that, it's like, cool, man. That's all he really wanted was a place to crash out. Asked for an extra day, and that was cool. And that, when he said he'd do it, I knew it was going to be something. When Stephen, Bob, and Greg, and Dale, and everyone said they were going to do it, I knew it was going to be special. But when Tony said he'd do it, I knew it was going to be something to remember. And then the last day, we were all kind of dreading it. And I remember saying it on day one, like, this is going to fly by really quickly. Make sure you take lots of pictures and get your autographs and exchange emails and do all that sort of stuff. And there we were on Sunday, and it was after Tony's class, and he finished up, and of course people just, it's like Tony Levin in a room full of stickists, right? It's just like a beehive. They just go to him. He's the queen bee, he's the king bee. And he was really gracious. Just took pictures and smiled and was really, I think, I hope he was enjoying himself. Thank you. And then we went downstairs and we set up a whole bunch of amplifiers. And this will be a thing of Stick Legend, where we put Dan and Michael Johnstone in the middle, who I'll come back to. And we put them in the middle of the room and surrounded them by about 9, maybe 10, 11 amplifiers. And then we all plugged into it, so it was this big circle of stickists. And Greg kind of got the circle going, and we all started kind of vamping on this. And all the attendees were inside and playing, and all the teachers were outside, and their hands were on the glass looking in at them. And Michael and Dan are filming the whole thing. And, and at some point, I don't know what happened, but the teachers came in and were clapping, and then they were clapping and dancing around the students. So we got Dan in the middle, amps and the attendees and dancing around them, or the singing and dancing instructors, and it feels like this kind of ritual. Jews love that sort of thing. The dancing and the singing, it was like Simchat Torah, if you know what that is. So that was super fun and a great way to end it. I left out yoga. We did yoga with Diana Lang, which was incredible. And each year I'm setting up for Stick Night when we do yoga, so I miss it. But Diana's one of Emmett's daughters. She's just a lovely, intelligent person, and beautiful. And the way she had great guidance for stick players with stretches and meditation, and just really how to take care of yourself and your body. Because sometimes, when you're playing stick, you get kind of contorted, and maybe you're doing something that isn't really natural, or you're moving a muscle or part of your body into a position that might, over time, be uncomfortable. I know I do that with my left hand, so I have to be careful of this and do more of that. So that'll happen in time. So anyways, the great circle. People are playing and laughing and dancing and singing, and at some point, we stopped it, and we all went around in a circle and kind of talked about our experience, and this was the highlight of the event. And things were said to me during that time that had a lot of weight, and a lot of us kind of broke down into tears. It was just such an emotional moment that so many people who normally feel alone as stick players, were really in good company, and it was coming to a close, and we did have to end it, go back to our kind of respective lives. But Dan captured the whole thing on video, so it's something that will be preserved for ages to come. My only regret is that Emmett wasn't there to see that and to be there when it happened. But all the instructors were. Tony was. Unfortunately, Larry wasn't. And Novi would have been great if she was there. She would have loved that sort of thing. So, at that point I was exhausted, just like emotionally and physically, and I had a lot of donuts. But one of the first conversations that I wanted to have afterwards was with other people that arrange events and make sure that ours doesn't conflict with theirs. I want other events, be it in the Northeast, the Southeast, the Midwest, what Dave Broski's got going on. I want to make sure that those are successful as well as the ones in Interlaken, and kind of try to spread it thin so that everyone can make sure that they have enough attendees to fund this sort of thing, because it is so challenging to put on an event of this magnitude where we're providing accommodations, food, services, and events for 50 people. So will it happen again? I received the blessing of Glenn Portman, so the answer is yes. Will it happen on this magnitude? Maybe, maybe not. But I know that it is something that we would plan for, but for right now, the focus for the Freehands Academy is on Interlaken for 2015, and seeing that that is well attended, get good instructors there, and that the program's solid. And I think with Glenn at the helm of that, it's going to be fantastic. And then, of course, what Jim has going on in Vancouver, and what Dave has going on in Pittsburgh, and what Brett has going on. I'm not quite sure if that's in New York. But Brett had a great program with Mike Bernier, and Josh was there too. So what a great program! You've got all these different players, and they're fantastic, and they're upbeat, and maybe Josh will have more time to devote to instruction. So that's great. See what else? I think that kind of covers it. We've talked about all the things that went into making it, I suppose. Thanked everyone, all the instructors, Dan and Diana, Emmett and Yuta and Yumi, and Cambria, of course. Got to thank Cambria. And Michael Johnson, who was a cool cat, Captain Strings. So I don't know if I thanked him, but he was just selfless there, taking video of other people. At some point we dragged him from behind the camera to be in the film, as part of the film, as opposed to just filming the film. And Robin Shinakasta, of course, is my partner in crime, colleague, who basically headed up the programming and made sure that everyone knew where they needed to be, when they needed to be there, who was teaching it, and what they were going to be learning. So thank you, Robin, for everything. That was fantastic. Good time. So I think that's it for Freehands Friday, number 26. I have an announcement. I had talked to Rob Safarian about doing something that he called Freehands After Hours, but I think I'm done with Freehands Friday. I want my Fridays back, and I think I'm going to hand it over to him and to Russell. I want to see to what capacity Russell is available. Russell is, my better half here on the Freehands Friday. Talented stick player, bass player, musician, and has been just a true blue friend in helping to coordinate events and to coordinate guests. And so really I'm going to talk to Russell to see how he wants it to proceed, see to what kind of capacity he wants to contribute. Ideally, we'll see if Rob's available to assist with that endeavor on Fridays. Dale's been very active in the Freehands Fridays as well. So will it go on? I don't know. I know that next Friday is my last Freehands Friday. So I suppose what I'd like to see, and I'm kind of putting this challenge out to the stick community, is who will lead Freehands Friday for the next 26 weeks, for the next half year. If there's someone out there that can do it, I'd like to know about it, because I think it would be great to keep it going. There's still so many stick personalities to know, to meet, to greet, to learn from, and to love. So until next week, for my last Freehands Friday, this is Gene Perry signing out, wishing you a happy Freehands Friday. And thanks again to everyone that pitched in for the Freehands Academy, that made it so successful and so much fun. Everyone was cool. We all had a good time. I know I'm going to think of somebody after this ends that I should have thanked. Rusty at the AJU, he was great. I know there's something else I'm going to miss. My mom came out. That was awesome. Thanks, Mom. Yeah, I think I'm going to go out on that note. Thanks, Mom. All right, everyone. Happy Freehands Friday.